The impact of a company going into insolvency is extremely important that one needs to understand. We spoke about how you can, who is eligible, you go file, like somebody files a case of insolvency, even if you are trying to recover money from the person and you're thinking that IBC is your way forward, you need to bear in mind that this is not a recovery proceeding. And it's like the final axe that you put on somebody, either the person comes and resolves, or your claim is as good as gone forever because the company goes into a complete restructuring. So, what is the effect of a company which goes into insolvency? This I'm also covering from the perspective of a company which might be facing that there might be someone here who might have got IBC threats or threats by his creditors that we will go against you in NCLT. What happens if a company is admitted into insolvency? Insolvency process starts. The IRP is something called the Insolvency Resolution Professional. The good old days, we had something like your administrator, liquidator, these kind of words were there. So IRP is a new creature of IBC. Typically, chartered accountants, company secretaries, lawyers, and cost accountants, and some professionals with 10 plus years experience. They need to qualify for a particular exam, go through some training, and they become IRPs. Practically on the ground, we see more so CA and CS. Chartered accountants and company secretaries are have been qualified and have taken up this position of IRP and are doing the job pretty much managing the scenario of insolvencies. What does he do? He or she takes over the company's administration and management. The board gets suspended immediately upon the very date of the order or upon the. So when a case is filed for insolvency, there are a few hearings. Eventually, the final hearing, if at all, court passes an order. The day the order is passed, from that day, technically, the insolvency commences. And in that order, typically, an IRP's name will be there that so and so is the interim resolution professional who has been appointed for this company. So that person takes over the administration and management of the company. He or she is supposed to call for claims through newspaper publications. They constitute a COC. I made a reference to it in one of the earlier slides. COC is only primarily the financial creditors. It's not any operation creditors or employees and other stakeholders. Home buyers have also eventually now become financial creditors after a lot of hue and cry over the last 2.5 years in the law. And not all home buyers come and sit. They usually give the concept that they're supposed to give an authorized representative to represent their interests. The COC pretty much functions like the board of the company, the board of directors, because the board is suspended. So who would run the company? It is primarily the COC members take the decisions. But of course, your IRP is equivalent to your CEO who will function in line with what the COC decides. Now, the board, the erstwhile board, I would say rather, and the employees of the company are expected to cooperate with the IRP, and that's very important. And the company, if it's a going concern basis company, it should be run as a going concern to the extent possible. That's an onus on the insolvency professional. This IRP later becomes the RP, basically initially 30 days or for a certain amount of period, initially 30 days until an RP is selected. The person who is appointed by NCLT is the interim resolution professional. Eventually, either the same person becomes the RP, resolution professional, or somebody else, as decided by the COC. The thumb rule here is 66% is their voting share. Whoever is able to get past any resolution to pass, like many of you are from the corporate sector, like you have your 51% or 75% for special resolutions. Here you have 66% for most of the decisions, 51% for very ordinary or routine decisions. But something like moving from IRP to RP, you need 66%. What is the challenge that we are seeing in the last few years of IBC's functioning? There is a lot of conflict between stakeholders, whereas the CI, sometimes the IRP itself is having issues with the COC. The financial creditors say, you have not accepted my entire claim, you've accepted my partial claim, so on and so forth. A lot of times the COC members inter se are disputing. One says that you have come on board with a larger amount of claim which you should not have come, because see, the voting percentage is based on the amount of claim accepted. So this especially happens in the case of institutional lenders and companies which top up their claims by multiple types of interest and penalties and so on and so forth. And if it is all accepted by the IRP, then that becomes an issue of dispute between them, because dispute between these COC members. Also, sometimes the minority versus the majority. You have a small group of COC members who feel they are being not heard. Though you don't have much of a say, 66% is what is decided. But then at least that we see a lot of NCLT applications after insolvency admission, where the focus should be on resolution. We see these disputes which hamper the resolution process. The creditors who file their claims, they end up coming to the NCLT against the IRP or the RP, because this is a very practical thing that happens. You file your claim, you have not done anything. You were just doing your business with the company. One fine day, you get to know that the company has been taken into insolvency by some third party. You are supposed to file your claim, which is a mandatory requirement and which is a requirement of the law. You file your claim, let's say for 1 crore of rupees. According to you, 1 crore of rupees is due. Let's say you put 80 lakhs principal, 20 lakhs interest. But the company's book is showing for some reason only 60 lakhs, which is due to you, or 50 lakhs, which is due to you. Maybe the company has issued some debit notes, they have not factored in some bills, some mismanagement, some chaos. For the differential 30 lakhs or 40 lakhs, typically we see creditors moving to NCLT and saying that, sir, this IRP is not considering my claim. This is the situation. I have this is the proof. I have supplied material, I've supplied services. But so this becomes this is a very, very, very common area in which disputes happen in NCLT, and are to a large extent they have been orders passed to the and issues resolved also. The last one is a happy problem, resolution versus an RA versus an RA, what we call in our IBC language, which means basically one bidder against another. If two or more people are interested in your company, you should be I mean, rather that company is a lucky company, because generally in the mid sector or MSME sector, which I'm presuming a lot of the audience today would be from, they don't see too many resolution applicants interested other than the promoter itself. So this is usually a challenge more so in slightly bigger size companies, or one-off cases where you have more than one person interested to bid for the company.